Welcome back to the Lighting Controls podcast here live at LightFair 2025 down in Las Vegas. Thank you for joining me. So right now I've got Suresh.
Thank you.
Singamsetty. Thank you.
Yeah.
From Lumos Controls. So
Yep.
tell me the story of Lumos Controls.
Yeah, so Lumos Controls, we started the company in 2013, more focusing on IoT platform to create smart spaces and bring in the controls as one of the segment of the IoT platform. And the controls give a significant leverage both on energy savings as well as comfort and getting a lot more information about the building. And that is what we bring it as a platform with the controls being one of the elements of it. And then you'll know how it is occupied, which areas are not so much occupied, and where you have more foot traffic, all that knowledge base that you can bring, you can kind of bring it into the system. That can be used and can be used for a lot of optimization or a lot of advertisements or whatever it is. Creating smart spaces is what we want to do, and that's what the Lumos Controls is focused on.
No, and I think that's great that you started from that IoT perspective and then started creating the product to fit that model, because we see a lot of people going the other direction where they have product and they're like, okay, we're going to try to do IoT by wedging it in, but you really are trying to embody that approach. And so what puts Lumos Controls ahead of the other groups when it comes to IoT?
So when we look into a lot of other control companies, as you rightly said, they are more coming from typical a single room on-off controls type, and they're trying to kind of build the ecosystem on top of it. But when we are looking at a platform, looking at how the building functions, what are the energies that are consumed, all those things, you need to have very holistic view. And that holistic view is where collecting the data and organizing the data and presenting the data is what kind of gives that leverage.
Right.
And that was more of a platform and technology play, where you need to have all the top level components ready so that you can basically enable any device to be part of the control system. So from that angle, what we see is, because my background is also creating semiconductor chips and consumer smartwatches. So from that angle, we saw having a platform is foremost important. And then you bring in all the devices that basically gets connected, where you have all the presentation platforms and other things ready.
Well, it sounds like you also have ready integration for a lot of systems that you might not be providing components for, but you can share data with.
That is absolutely is needed, because we can't there's all the systems that are already there installed, and there are changing the whole thing is going to be a huge investment for any organization. So you always need to have the pieces that can fit into the puzzle or fit into any facility, and still they have their old infrastructure or the existing BMS systems. Those things we need to provide a mechanism to integrate. So we see as a platform, we can integrate at the building level directly into their systems using our edge gateways, or we can integrate at the cloud levels using the APIs. So that's where I see the difference that comes in. Coming from a technology platform, we foresee these things that the integration points are on multiple places, not just devices.
Well, and you've got something coming on the horizon too.
So we do have, we kind of attacking it in multiple angles. One of the angles is, how do we bring in installation, how do we make installation easier by bringing in devices that doesn't need any wires or any batteries. So these self-powered energy harvesting devices as part of the controls will free up how you install things. You don't need to bring in any wires. That basically means you can have this control switch or something, or a rotary switch, any place you want in the building without worrying about, how do I wire this?
Right, or thinking about, 10 years from now I need to replace a battery.
Yes, they are thinking about it, even most of the batteries, typically you're looking at a couple of years, typically they ask you to replace, but here it is, you do not have any maintenance. You don't need anybody to come in and replace the batteries.
Right.
So that is one part of the section. But the other thing is, how do we bring in this platform to solve a lot of other problems, like energy, like basically in the most of the places you have compliance requirements, like your exit signs and all these things, the power packs that support these exit lights, they need to be every month as part of the mandate. You need to basically test them to see whether they're functioning or not.
Right.
And since we have the platform that we basically can provide this two-way communication, we can test, we can automate the process and provide reports without fail. Like whereas most of the facilities, they need to assign a person to go there and basically press the switches, every one of them. That process is costly, and what happens with that is people will be less compliant when there is a lot more human involvement is involved. So that we see like, okay, bringing in the compliancy, bringing in the safety is one of the things we can do with a platform.
Yeah, no, that's great. I think, the solutions that you're looking at are really four challenges we're seeing in modern day projects where, either we have existing installation that we need to upgrade to a new standard, or we have a new project but we need very low footprint of maintenance. You really have that spectrum covered, and so I think it's really a great solution that you have here.
Thank you. Yeah, that's where we see like we from the platform on one side covering the compliance matters, and even like how do we basically reduce the energy, providing all the analytics so that you can see how you can achieve savings, and also like how we can basically see like how the occupancy and other things that gives you a lot more information about the usage. On the other side, you also want to be very less maintenance, and the cost of installation is also, it needs to be kind of pretty less so that you can install, forget about it, and the whole thing functions, and you are saving energy. You are basically getting a lot of analytics out of the building.
Yeah, no, that's great. And so do you manage, or do you store the data for use?
So we have multiple options. We basically can provide as a service where we can provide all this data, or we can provide, for some of the bigger organizations, we still see that, okay, they want the whole data to be within their premises. For those purposes, we provide our edge devices or edge servers, which reside in their location where they have complete control on the privacy and security on site. And we also provide for smaller customers who wants to have the energy data that they want to see from the outside world. Yeah, they can use our gateways and connect to the rest of the system.
Well, Suresh, really appreciate you coming on. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, and it's a pleasure to be on the Lighting Control podcast.